What's going on, guys? Welcome to Tyromper's No Limit podcast episode number 5. I got a special guest on this one, a man that I'm so pumped about. This is a man that I really admire, look up to a lot. Marvin Mitchell. He was my college suite mate, a man that I've admired for a long time, and a man that I've just watched on social and connected over the last few years. And this is a man that's just doing huge things, big things, helping a lot of people. He's authored 5 books. He's gotten into a lot. I'll let him describe a little more, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Marvin. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate being here, man. I'm proud of you too, man. I see what you all are doing, man, the family that you're raising, the values that you're putting into your family. And man, looking back on college, man, I'll just say God is real.
There's definitely a time in our life where Marvin and I were maybe not doing some of the family best things. We were out chasing the girls like a lot of the other guys in college. We had some pretty fun times together, but you're always a man that I've admired, your work ethic. You've just always been a great dude. I know faith is a big part of your life too. And
Yep.
Could you just give, I'm big on Twitter. You're big in some other social media areas. Would you just mind maybe giving the audience just a little backdrop of who you are, what you do, so they get to know you a little better?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is, from a professional standpoint, is I help individuals to create their own bank. I own an entire financial firm. I've owned a firm for about 15 years, multi-million-dollar firm. 2016 was ranked as one of the top 5 advisors in the country by Retirement Advisor magazine. And what I do is I coach others to build massive success and learn how to scale their practice and go to the next level. But most importantly, I'm just somebody who likes to inspire others and add value in any way that I can. I mean, that's the profession, but as you know, there are many other opportunities outside of the profession that allows us to do those same things. So,
yeah, and I know you're a father too, and you're a man that I see. You're flying all over the country. You're buying properties here. You're doing that, but you're always a man who I feel like you have that guiding principle of, hey, my kids, my family, and we were talking a little off stream before, but something I'd love to get into right away is, what I've always noticed about you, and I've learned a lot from over the last few years, is you're never like selling things. You're just providing value to like, I've learned a ton from you just for free, just the stuff you put out there. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit? And kind of, is that a strategy or is that just who you kind of are?
So the thing about it is really who I am. For example, this year, I just started a financial advisor coaching platform that's doing really, really well. But I've been coaching other financial advisors and they've been flying down to see me, and I've been providing value for a decade for no cost. So I've helped so many advisors. When I worked for Edward Jones as a financial advisor, I was in charge of training all of the new financial advisors that came into the area. So, so it's what I do. I had mentorship and a coach that let me know that, hey, you should start getting paid for this, but I never intended to get paid for it. But now that I'm doing it, I'm realizing I was actually disservicing people by not charging them. Because the thing about it is like, you cannot charge what you're not willing to pay. So once I was able to learn to pay for mentorship and high quality expertise, I realized I'm doing them a favor by charging, because when you pay attention. And there's typically no transformation without a transaction. So I'm actually hurting people if I do it for free all the time.
And there's so much wisdom in that. One of the best things I ever did was hire a coach, Zach Hommel. And, if he hadn't charged me, I don't know if I would have had the same buy-in. And even then, when I started coaching a few of my friends on health and habits, fitness, some of these things, I didn't charge. I just wanted to help out. I noticed I wasn't getting the same results even when I just started charging a little bit. And then, I agree with you 100% on that, man. And, again, you're a guy who you're so successful. I see you on the news all the time. You've authored 5 books. I'm going to link a lot of those in the description too.
Mm-hmm.
I know those have helped a lot of people. Can you kind of talk a little bit about your backstory and growing up and kind of some things maybe you had to overcome and the mindset that it takes to get there?
Absolutely. I definitely think that I came from obstacles. I came from tragedy, right? And in a way, obviously, I wouldn't want to relive some of the tragedy, but in a way, the tragedy sort of made me who I am today. It was really heartbreak that drove me into the financial industry. I didn't have a lot of money growing up. My mom had me when she was 15. By the time she was in her 20s, early 20s, she had me and 2 younger sisters, and she was in an abusive relationship. to the point where, I would see my mom literally get beat and try to help her, in those particular situations. So seeing that abusive relationship, it's hard to get out of those abusive types of relationships. But my mom, she'd escape. And when she escaped, we lived in shelters. So we were really homeless because my mom really kept it to herself. She didn't really want to tell a lot of people. But my grandmother found out and she pulled us into her home. And when she pulled us into her home, she began to help me a lot by instilling a lot of values into me. She began to tell me not to let the circumstances dictate the outcome of my life. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. She was a strong Christian foundation type of woman. She didn't have a college education. Actually, I'm the first person in my family to have a college education, but she always instilled in me that I was going to be great and I can do something better. And I became a reader. I went to college, ended up going to law school. I don't know if you know that, Tyler. I went to
I
law
did
school
not.
for
Wow.
a semester. And then my grandmother became sick with cancer and I moved back to St. Louis to help her out. And two things. Number one, she told people her advisor that she couldn't afford to lose any money. She didn't want to be a burden on any of her family members. That was her number one fear. Unfortunately, she lost 50% when the market went down. She had no long-term care. So she ended up doing exactly what she feared, spending down all of her money, and ended up passing away feeling like she was a burden.
Yeah.
And when that happened, that's really what led me into the financial industry, because I said, okay, well, I need to make sure that this doesn't happen to me or myself. I almost felt guilty that I let it happen. And I said, I need to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else. So in memory of my grandmother, I went into the financial industry. So going into the financial industry, in my opinion, I thought that I was doing something great, and I was, but then I realized that the financial industry was having me do some of the same things to my clients that advisor did to my grandmother years ago. And although I was making six figures, my conscience it didn't sit right with me. So I ended up leaving and exploring how do the actual wealthy think about money? How do people actually create generational wealth? How do people actually create the tax freedom? Because what we learn through the educational system and through the financial system is not what rich people do to make their money work.
Man, there's a lot of takeaways there. So number one, your grandma, wow, what a powerful woman. And I feel like anybody watching this could have that takeaway that, hey, some days maybe we're floating through and maybe we're not on fire, but we can always be that one person that maybe just gave you that encouragement, spoke life into you. And now look at I always talk about the ripple effect. Look what that's doing, how many lives you're pouring into and affecting. And that's amazing. That's legacy right there, man. That's really cool. And then how you took that and you applied that knowledge and now you do that. That's pretty cool. And I see you talking about this a lot now. The generational wealth, avoiding the tax. I recently tweeted, I think a lot of being a successful adult is unlearning a lot of that stuff that they teach us for 18 years.
Well, you got to understand, man, you're right. It's a lot of unlearning. It's the miseducation of the average person, right? So this is what we're taught. We're taught to go to school, get an education, get student loans if you have to, whatever you have to do to get an education, get higher education potentially, which means pay even more student loans. And then one day, if you do a really good job in school and you get really good grades, then maybe you can go out and get you a good high paying job where now you have kids maybe down the line, and maybe now you have to support your family. So now you have to support those kids and the family by working so that you can pay off those student loans. You got a mortgage, you got all of this. So now you're trapped into the cycle of what we call the rat race. And then you got to save for the long haul, which means you got to put the money in your 401k. And oh yeah, you can't touch that 401k until we tell you can without a penalty. So now you're stuck. Your money is in prison until you're 59 and a half. And then maybe one day you can retire when you're 65 and live off 70% of the income that you made when you were working and take a pay cut. Congratulations, you are living the American dream, right?
That is so well. So I remember you giving a speech on this on Facebook Live one time, and I tuned in and it blew my mind. And at this time, I was working in the bank. I was kind of trapped in that industry. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing the great thing. I'm maxing out my IRA. And then you kind of talked about, what if they change laws? You're not even in control of that money for 30 years until I get there. And it really blew my mind. I have not contributed to that IRA sense, man. Now I'm buying passive income, just streams and things like that. So I thank you very much. You helped me get out of the banking world, whether you know it or not, my man, a few years ago.
I didn't know that, man. That's awesome. Like, well, you got to understand, wealthy individuals are not doing the same thing that you're taught in school and that you're taught by the financial system. The financial system is a extension of the educational system, where I tell people all the time, Tyler, like, don't get financial advice from a financial advisor. Financial advisors, a lot of financial advisors I know are actually broke, right? They're not doing well. I know a lot of financial advisors who have filed bankruptcy and don't know how to truly advise you. They're following the traditional system. Get financial advice from somebody who's done what you want to do. Get financial advice from a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Tyler, I just happen to be both. You know what I mean? So I can talk to you in both ways. I can talk to you about, from a financial advisor, technical, and I learned to think outside of the box. And I can talk to you out of the sense of being a millionaire, because I've done it. I've created passive residual income. I have 180 units of real estate. I have, a Turo, I've dipped into Turo. I have Airbnb business. You know what I mean? I've done an Amazon business. I've done different things that are going to create passive income for me, not to mention the single family apartments that I own. So I can talk to you from a standpoint of knowing that if we keep following the traditional advice, we're going to end up traditionally like most people do. 70% of people run out of money. And for the younger generation, it's even more deadly almost, because Social Security isn't promised for us. Pensions are going away. So if you don't create your own income, different multiple streams of income, you're going to be in a worse situation than your parents or grandparents.
Man, there's so much wisdom in that. And first off, congrats, brother. I just want to fist pump when I hear you saying that, man, because I see you, doing I'm buying an apartment building here, I'm Airbnb here, and I see you doing it. I'm going to take away a couple things from this. Number one, I want to say, man, if you follow the traditional path of, I'm into fitness. 70% of Americans now are obese or overweight. You got to carve out your own path and take a different path. We see same way with finances. You have to kind of go your own way and kind of do these things. And one thing I want to talk about with you that I've admired and I've learned from is, hey, I see you still, you never settle. You're flying and meeting these guys who are worth more than you, and you're constantly learning. You're constantly hiring new coaches. I see you say, hey,
absolutely,
I'm not afraid to spend money, and I'm not afraid to hire people who are maybe farther in the journey than me. Can you kind of speak onto that and how that's been impactful for you?
Tyler, I don't know anybody, and I mean anybody, who's extremely financially successful without hiring somebody as a mentor or a coach. I mean, it doesn't happen. It's funny when you see a lot of people that are broke, unfortunately, they're saying, well, I don't want to pay anybody else to teach me what I can learn on YouTube. Well, the common trend is people who say that don't have money, right? Sure. Like, I'll tell you this, man, I have a servant's heart, right? I have a giver's heart. And the thing that when I started in this industry, I said, I want to help people that are not doing well. I want to help people who grew up like me that didn't have a lot of money. Maybe they were broke and they had to overcome being broke and all of those different things. And quite frankly, I was struggling myself when I was doing that, and to the point where, Tyler, I actually was darn near broke myself, attempting to help broke people. So when I hired a mentor, my mentor told me something that was very profound. He said, look, if you don't want to, if you want, the best way that you can help broke people is to not be one of them.
Ooh. Wow.
Best way to help broke people is to not be one of them. When I learned that distinction, he said, once you're not one of them, you can always go back and teach the masses. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. That's why you see me on social media. That's why you see me writing books, because I've had to go out and make my money and learn the game. And now that I've learned the game, I'm actually coming back and giving that game to everybody.
That's awesome. That's powerful. And I always say you can't pour from an empty cup. You probably know this as a dad too. It's why I get up before my family most every day, and I work out, I read my Bible, I pray. And that way, I'm filled up. And then when they come back, because again, if you're not living that certain life, you have nothing to give, right? You're on E too. So that's really powerful. And I do hear that a lot in my industry too. I've hired coaches, mentors, things like that. And, oh, that's a scam. Why would you pay somebody else? And it is, you're willing to go out to a bar and spend $1,000 this month at bars and restaurants, but you're not willing to invest that $1,000 into somebody who can literally make your life so much better and avoid some of these pitfalls that you're trying to make.
So Tyler, this year I've spent about $130,000 on coaching. You might say that's crazy. Why would you spend $130,000 on coaching? Here's the thing. Write this down if you all are listening right now. An uncommon seed creates an uncommon harvest. An uncommon seed creates an uncommon harvest. A lot of times you're not getting the big harvest that you desire because you're not planting a big seed. You know, it's all biblical. When you talk about tithes and offerings, and you know, that's a seed, right? When you talk about mentorship and having godly wisdom and godly counsel, that's a seed. So this year I started off paying $55,000 to one of my mentorships, which was the biggest mentorship seed that I've ever planted, quite frankly. So far, that was in February. We're what now in October? I've made an additional $2 million from what I've learned on that $55,000 investment.
Wow.
Right?
So 20x.
So you got to ask yourself this. Stop asking what does it cost you to invest in yourself and start asking what would it cost you if you don't? Because if I had not, it would have cost me $2 million. So now $55,000 seems small when you compare it to 2 million, right? So it's all about stop saying what is the cost and start saying what is the value that I'll get by doing this. So we don't charge people based on price. We charge them based on the value that they get. So I've done 2 other mentorships since then, and every single last one of them has been profitable for me because it's put me into rooms where I can expand my mind. And here's the thing, Tyler, there is power in proximity. There's power in proximity. When you can get around the right people, like literally it's impossible for you not to get in front of the right people and to increase the value that you have in money, relationships, fitness, whatever it is. Like if you want your fitness to be better, you need to be around people who are in great shape. If you want your relationship to be better, you need to get in front of people who are in great relationships. If you want your wealth principles to be better, you need to get in front of people with money and with wealth. Because I'm telling you, you cannot be a turtle expecting to be a giraffe. And so let me explain what I mean by that. I want to explain what I mean by that. The reason why a lot of people are not successful, Tyler, is because they have big dreams, but their big dreams are ruined by a small mind. People are allowing a small mind to kill big dreams every single day. And I say it like this, this is an analogy, right? So you're a giraffe, which means you are literally, you can see above the trees. Like your vision is clear. It's like you have a dream and you're convicted. That desire is strong. Like you know that dream is going to come to pass. There's no doubt in your mind that dream will come to pass because you can clearly see it.
Yeah.
So what happens is sometimes we begin to be unsure of ourselves, or we want to make sure that we have a consensus. Be careful, y'all. A consensus can actually kill you. So what you do is you reach your neck down and you attempt to get affirmations and confirmations from a turtle. And a turtle was telling you, well, I don't see it. I think it's dumb. I think it's a scam. The problem is they're not bad people, but they can only see 2 feet in front of them. They were not meant to see your vision. You were meant to see your vision. And the problem is sometimes you stay down for way too long. The oxygen of a giraffe is flowing through the neck, which means if they reach their head down too long, it actually will cut off their circulation and they can become stuck in that same position. And in fact, many times they can actually pass out. Sometimes they can actually die. And that's actually what's happening to some people. You're a giraffe and you've been talking to a turtle for so long that you're actually suffocating and you're dying right where that turtle is. Wow. And you wonder why you can't get ahead and you can't get to the next level because you're too busy associating with a turtle. Now, the problem is that turtle could be a good friend. That turtle can be a spouse. That turtle can be your mom or dad. It can be a great person with great intentions. But when they look at you, they're seeing every obstacle that you're going through as a cliff. They're afraid that you're going to fall. They're afraid that you're going to fall to the bottom and break your neck. But the problem is that vision is so clear for you. It's not a cliff. It's only a curve. And all you're doing when other people see a cliff, all you see is a curve, and you just got to step over that curve, and you got to dream big and know that your dream is meant for you, not for the next person. So you can say, I hear you, But at the same time, this is my dream. I'm going for my dream. I'm not staying there. I'm moving forward.
Man, this is, you know what? I'm sad that I already lifted today because you got me fired up, Marvin. This is what I love watching you, my man. That is the most beautiful thing I think I've ever heard. And I do think a lot of that advice comes from a good place. And it's good to know that. Hey, man, you know, we tell our kids, I tell my daughter, you know, she's 6, you're going to be a sum of the people you associate with, right? Like if you're hanging out with a bunch of kids someday who just want to smoke pot and drink, guess what? That's probably where you're going to end up. Or if you're hanging out with people that have this growth mindset, have this, like these goals, these visions, these dreams, that's where you're going to take off too. As adults, we need to be mindful of that too. And man, you know, I quit my decent paying corporate job, you know, about a year ago.
Congrats.
In the middle. Thank you, man. In the middle of a pandemic, you know, and I heard from so many people how foolish I was, how dumb I was, from family members, you know. But again, I had that vision clear in my head. And, you know, just last month, I over 3x'd what I was doing at the bank, you know? Yeah. I had that vision in my head the whole time. I didn't need anybody else to see it, you know? And I love everything you said there.
So
just
repeat that. So you basically said that people were telling you were foolish for leaving your corporate job.
Yes.
1 year later, you have 3x the income that you made in that corporate job.
Yes.
So that's why you got to tell people, you got to stand on what's true to you. You got to stand on your values. You got to stand on your integrity. Don't let somebody else make you feel small or inferior because of your big dream, and stop attempting to console people and be afraid to have big dreams because you're afraid to make somebody else feel inferior. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. It's time for you to bring people up to your level. Stop going down to their level. There's so many people with big dreams, Tyler, and then life's disappointment just lowers their dream and lowers their dream and lowers their dream, to all of a sudden they're comfortable with mediocrity. They're comfortable with they console themselves thinking, at least I'm not this bad, or at least I'm not that bad. But you were never meant to compete with anybody else outside of the vision that God has given you. So stop lowering your dreams and say, what do I need to do to get to that dream? You know what I mean? I'm never lowering my dream again to make myself feel good. I know where I'm at. Like, I'll tell you this, Tyler, I helped somebody get to, I did like $1 million in a week several times, and I helped other people get to $1 million day. And I'm about to do my first $1 million day. So it's been crazy, right? But here's the thing. People come to me and say, bro, when you did $1 million in a week, like, were you surprised? I know that was crazy for you. I know, like, did you ever imagine that this is what you can do? And you already know the answer to this, Tyler. I'm like, no, my face is straight. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, why am I not surprised? I expected it, right? I believe that I can do it. The vision came to me before you ever saw the manifestation. And that's what I mean. Like, your vision is your manifestation. Stop allowing people to kill your manifestation before it actually comes to pass. Because the only thing that can destroy you is if you never start and if you quit. But if you keep believing that it's yours, it has to be yours. All you have to do is step in and take control over it and take dominion over it, which is what we were taught to do.
That's so powerful, man. And that's such a huge mindset shift. I remember writing down one day several years ago that I needed to stop limiting God's unlimited power. You know, that I like just what you said. I'm comfortable. I got a decent paying job, but I knew I was created for more. I knew I was created to go to these things and do these things. Right. And I feel like same with you. What advice would you give anybody who's watching this and they resonate with what you're saying, man, that they just feel sort of stuck? I hear this a lot. You know, well, I got bills. I got these responsibilities. I got these things I got to do. What would be kind of a first step for you? You know, because I do hear this, hey, I got these dreams or visions. I feel like God laid this on my heart, but it just kind of seems like a daydream. You know, what would be your advice?
Let me do this first. Let me take a 10-second pause, because if I don't plug up my charger, this interview is over. So hold 1 second.
Gotcha, my man. Hope you guys are enjoying this guest as much as I am. I love Marvin. I have been, man, he's a guy that's just inspired me so much. I've watched him just, you know, we knew each other, what was it, 18 years ago now. We used to chase girls in this club. What was that club's name?
Level
remember
it.
this nightclub back in the day. We'd go there, we'd get penny pitchers, we'd have a couple beers, and, and now I see this guy just killing life, inspiring people. He's on news, he's doing all these big things. And so grateful for him to come on. I hope you guys are enjoying him as much as I am.
All right, I'm back, man. I made it. I was
All right.
afraid. I thought we were about to die for a minute.
I appreciate that, brother. So yeah, what
man.
would you tell people as a first step? Again, they feel stuck and they feel kind of that limiting thing. What would be your advice, number one?
So the first thing I would say is you don't destroy your dream before the dream has an opportunity to come. Don't kill your own dream, right? Write down your goals. Have affirmations. Believe. Just the same way that when we exercise our body, it strengthens our body. When you give affirmations, it strengthens your faith, right? So you need to work on strengthening your faith. The next thing that I would do is you need to find somebody who's doing what you already want to do. And you need to pay that person. Don't just try to get free information. You need to pay that person for their mentorship, for their time. If they have group coaching, you need to be a part of that group coaching so that you can surround yourself with other people, the fruit of that mentor, so that you can surround yourself with a community of believers that believe the same thing that you do. And you just need to take action, right? Yeah. Once you put those things in place, the only thing that's stopping you is action. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Here's the thing I want you to understand. You already are a child of a king, which means you already have an inheritance. That inheritance was already meant for you, right? There's so many people. Do you know, Tyler, that there are millions and millions, if not billions of dollars of unclaimed inheritance?
I did not know this, no.
There's so much money, like as a financial advisor, I noticed there are millions of dollars in unclaimed inheritance because people had policies that they didn't know that their mom or dad had. And they had all of this information, so they never claimed it. If you don't claim it, you can't have it. So the next thing I'll say is you need to claim it, which means you need to speak those things that are not as though they are. And then you need to actually take the action. So if I have an inheritance, right, even though it belongs to me as an advisor, I know that to claim your inheritance, you at least need to come into the office and sign some documents so that you can get the money. If you never sign the documents, you won't give the money. That takes some action at least. So it's not a lot of action. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to work hard in order to make a lot of money. You don't have to work hard. You just need to be on the right assignment. You need to be within your purpose, and you need to act within that purpose and know that you're the person to fulfill that purpose, and money will come to you easily, frequently, and abundantly.
Man, I love that. So did you say, because when about 4 or 5 years ago, Marvin, I was in a pretty bad marriage, in a pretty bad spot in my life. Yep. And I started really getting into self-improvement, started changing my body, my mindset, everything. And so if you open my phone now, I say daily affirmations to myself every day. I stand in front of the mirror and I tell myself who I am. And before a lot of these things came true in my life, I would say, I'm a child of God. I'm a man of integrity. I'm a great husband. I give my wife the benefit of the doubt. Money comes to me frequently, easily, abundantly, with God's perfect timing, with no burden added to it. You know, I would say these things when they weren't true over and over, and I'd program myself and I'd believe it deeply. And I always talk when your words match your faith and then your actions carry those out, you literally are unstoppable. There's no limits to where you can go once you decide to take that. And I love hearing you say that, man. Are you a man that does affirmations as well and does some things like that?
Do I do affirmations? Like every day I'm doing affirmations, because it's like, just like exercise, right? You can lose it if you don't. So naturally, our minds are going to take us to negative thinking. Unfortunately, nobody has natural positive thoughts, because there's so many things that happen into this world. Like, you are in control of that. When you realize that you're in control of your thoughts, you're the captain of your mind, you're the captain of your soul, you can bring your thoughts into captivity. Once you realize that, then it's a powerful thing. So I would write down my affirmations. I would record my affirmations. I would listen to myself. I would do videos of myself saying the affirmations. I would do vision boards. Any kind of way that I can get that message in front of myself, I would do, because it makes that much of a difference. So yeah, here's the thing, Tyler. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between truth and fact. That's why the Bible says, speak those things that are not as though they are. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he.
I love
Because
that verse.
death and life is in the power of the tongue. There's so many different confirmations of this same message, right? So what we have to do is we control ourselves by telling, we not only have dominion over things, we have dominion over ourselves. So that's why we gotta order our steps and tell ourselves what's about to happen and what we're about to do, because we are little gods and we can make it happen.
Man, I love that. That's so powerful. And dude, I'm known now. If you were to look me up on Twitter, I'm the king of positivity. Tyler's always positive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you knew me 5 or 6 years ago, man, you can ask my wife. I was not positive, man. I was the guy who was coming home complaining about clients, complaining about my boss, complaining about where I ended up in life. I was stuck, all these things. And then today was morning number 4,117 days in a row that I've woke up, and the first thing I do before anything is I pray. I thank God for a new day, and I write down 10, 15 things I'm grateful for every day. I never miss a day of this, man. And now all of a sudden I start seeing life through a lens of gratitude. I start seeing things as challenges or opportunities or just blessings, you know? And man, if I were to take a camera around my house, I have sticky notes all over telling myself who I am. I'm a bold child of God. I'm blessed. I'm abundant. You know, all these things, man. I agree with you. You can program yourself in a way, and your subconscious doesn't know. I love the way you described that, man. That was really powerful. I appreciate that. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the mindset? And did you develop this? Was this something that kind of your grandmother taught you back in the day? Or is this through a lot of reading and learning? Because you have one of the strongest mindsets I've ever encountered. And can you kind of talk about that a little bit, how you developed that?
I developed it out of, number one, out of reading affirmations that my grandmother started me on, and quite frankly, out of obstacles. See, a lot of people want to avoid the obstacles in life. They want to avoid the things that are hard, right? But it's those very sacrifices of the things that are hard that are actually building you and making you the person that who you are and giving you the thick skin that you need to survive, you know, in this entrepreneurship world, right? Like, had I not went through what I went through, had I not had doors slammed in my face over and over and over again when I first started off in the industry, I would not have the skin that I need to have the mindset that say I can overcome anything. How do you know you can overcome anything if you've never overcome anything? Right?
That's right.
Oh, that's good. That's how can you know?
That'd be a great tweet, brother.
So here's the thing: gold is purified, right, by going through the fire. But a lot of people want to avoid the fire. A lot of people want to be entitled to think that I don't, you know, don't get me wrong. You can skip a lot of the burden by getting you a good mentorship, but be careful. If you skip too much of the burden, you won't know what to do when time gets rough, because things are not always going to come to you easily, right? When they don't come to you easily, do you have the mental fortitude to survive? Like, and that's really where it came from to me, man. It's like evaluation, looking at my situation, saying, okay, what can I do better? Like, what could I do today that I didn't do yesterday? Because if you never evaluate it, you'll just keep repeating the same mistakes and getting the same lessons over and over and over again.
And that's huge, man. I have a thing where once a month I sit down and I audit. I just did it last night, actually. I audit my faith, I audit my finances, my fitness, my friendships and relationships, and I'll take notes on how I did last month, how I assess myself, what I want to do better moving forward. You know, all these things. I think that's so key. If you don't really measure it, you know, it's not going to grow, man. I appreciate that. That's huge, dude. I thank you so much, man, for coming on here. You are the man. I don't want to take much of your time. And also, my family has church. I usually do these podcasts shirtless. You guys can tell it's a special day to have my man Marvin on here, and we're heading to church here in about 5 minutes. But brother, you have the biggest heart, the biggest faith, and I just love seeing you win, man. And next time you're in Vegas, can I please buy you a lunch, get a walk or a workout in or something, man? I just want to give you a
Let's do it, man. I'll come to Vegas just to visit you and the family, man. Last thing I want to say before you go is that, you know, the mindset is not just faith, and it's also the way that you think about money will make or break you when it comes to money. I teach in my book, Become Your Own Bank, that there are 3 different types of people when it comes to money. You have a debtor, you have a saver, and you have a wealth creator. My mission is to make as many wealth creators as we can. So get my book. It's simple. You can go to becomeyourownbankbook.com and learn what it takes to actually be a wealth creator and create generational wealth for the next generations and the next generations to come. So Tyler, man, I'm proud of you, bro. I love seeing what you're doing. And follow me on Instagram, Marvin Mitchell Official.
I will tag everything of Marvin's underneath. I'll put a link to the book. I'll put a link to his site, his Instagram, everything he has, I'll put in the link below. And thank you so much, Marvin, for coming on, brother. I appreciate you. You go have the best day with your family too, man. And I look forward to seeing you post about that $1 million day, brother, that you already knew was going to happen like 10 years ago, right?
Absolutely, man. Let's do it, man. Give me a call later. Appreciate you.
All right, all love, brother. Have the best day, man. Thanks.
Bye.